one time they said, David, you're in business. I said, yeah, I know you don't like all this science stuff, but are you interested in doing the business side of oil and gas? I said, there's a business side of oil and gas, not just cranking wrenches and things. And they showed me an article that was actually published in the Wall Street Journal, on the front page, talking about a landman somewhere in the Rockies and what he went through and experienced. And I saw that, the light clicked on, and said, that's what I want to do. Find the purpose in what you're doing. Find the why. I don't care if you're a landman, I don't care if you're a restaurant person, why are you doing this? And there's a reason behind your why. That helps create that impact that you want to do in the world.
Land insights, market trends, industry experts. Welcome to the Land Department Podcast, the state of land and energy as we see it.
Right, you posted to LinkedIn, I guess, was it last week? Just asking for more people in the industry that we can highlight, that we can learn from their story. Biographies are awesome to read, and we need something like that for the Landman community. So we've got several responses, and even before this post, saying, hey, we need to get Dachner on. So welcome to the podcast, David.
You betcha. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, we're excited to talk.
Yeah, usually when you hear someone's name twice at different times, as someone that'd be interesting to speak to, it's probably a great person to have a conversation with. So yeah, we're wanting to do something a little different. Most of our podcasts have been informative and subject matter intensive and kind of stuff like that. But there's just so many cool people and interesting people in our business that, you know, as landmen, we're a pretty vocal group. We're outgoing, we talk. And generally what that leads to is people that do great things outside of the business and interesting things outside of the business. And we wanted to start highlighting some of those people and talk about, you know, their careers in the oil and gas business, but also, you know, their passions outside of it and things that they've done outside of the business, or that our business, you know, the oil and gas and energy business has allowed them to do, you know, after, you know, years and years of grinding. And again, heard David's name a couple times and reached out to him, and he was gracious enough to be willing to come on here and visit with us and tell us about his career and some of the funny things. I got a couple of little surprises that I've heard about. I want to ask you about. So I'm sure you got a pretty good story. But love to hear about you know, David's passion and what he's doing outside of the business and kind of this part of his career and his life in our industry. So David, man, welcome.
Yeah, thanks. I'm blessed to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So you know, we talked last week, and you dove into kind of how it all started. Mm-hmm. When did you get in the business? What's your background? How'd you get going in our landman world, in the oil and gas business?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting in a way that I was born and raised in Northern California in the Sacramento area, and I have one aunt, one uncle, and one cousin. They lived in Salt Lake City, and I was just going through college. I was going to graduate in marketing and get into sports store management or something like that. And then went out to my aunt and uncle's house in Salt Lake City. My uncle was a consulting geologist in Salt Lake for many, many years, making recommendations for people about open filing for federal oil and gas leases back when that was permitted. And they had done well, but then with the oil embargo of 1974, their properties, went 10x overnight. And so they made a fortune. And so when I saw them one time, they said, David, you're in business? I said, yeah, I know you don't like all the science stuff, but are you interested in doing the business side of oil and gas? And I said, huh? There's a business side of oil and gas, not just cranking wrenches and things, And so they showed me an article that was actually published in the Wall Street Journal, and the front page talking about a landman in somewhere in the Rockies and what he went through and experienced. And I saw that, and the light clicked on. I said, that's what I want to do. And he said that there's 3 places you can go study mineral land management or petroleum land management. At that time was Texas, Oklahoma, or Colorado. And I said, Colorado, yes. So
yeah, that's better than Edmond.
I applied and went to school at Boulder, and the mineral land management program there. And in about a year and a half, I got out. I went to school there and graduated in 1978, and got in the oil business ever since then. And it's been quite the career. But what sparked my interest in being a landman was I was never the guy chasing the gold watch. I was never wanted to be the career guy or the CEO. What I was interested in is having the quality of life, not the quantity in all this. And so being able to have the flexibility to have my own direction, my own career, and hopefully even quote unquote mailbox money someday, the oil and gas career provided that. And so meeting people and being able to use my brain in the courthouse and being able to study records and all that. So this is my perfect career. And I got excited. And that's how my whole career started, was through my aunt and uncle.
And, I'd love to read that article. I need to look that up just to see what the perception of what a landman did, or what maybe the reality of a landman's life in 1974 was, or in
Yeah.
the early 70s was.
Yeah.
And you nailed it. It seems like, I got into the business in the early 2000s, 2003, 2004. And most of my career has been oriented towards like everything that the shale revolution brought into the business,
Right.
scale, almost specialization to a certain
Mhm.
extent, especially on the field side of things.
Right.
Larger crews for a bigger part of my career. And then it's kind of come back down to the smaller, more focused efforts, high
Yeah.
value driven, not, these big swaths of project
Right.
work. But I always was envious of almost the good old days, early
Yeah.
days in the business where, it was a landman was someone who was out prospecting. They were putting deals together. They were putting acreage. They were, taking a little bit of risk, but man, they had the freedom that as much work as they put into it, they'd get out of it,
Yeah. Exactly.
with a little bit of luck
Yeah. Absolutely.
and some savvy.
Yeah.
But it made for some great landmen, and a lot of people in kind of my generation of the land business learned from gentlemen like you that, that kind of learned in that season of our industry, and also went through the 80s,
Right. Yeah.
when things changed. So you were right in the middle of it
Yeah.
in the 80s. How did your career progress from those early days through the downturns?
Well, it was pretty interesting, so I got in just when the boom was really going in the late 70s, and the oil embargo prices went from, $6 a barrel to $18 a barrel, and everyone thought they were rich, 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 And um, so when I got out of the program, they were looking for landmen. So it was nice the way it entered my career. And so, and I was getting, oh my gosh, 50 to $75 a day. I was making money hand over fist, a little per diem,
Big money.
and big money.
And you didn't have to pay for your lunch
Yeah,
or dinner? Even
it
better.
was really amazing. And and I rode that wave. Eventually, I was in the field, and then the kind of interesting little side story is that I was working up in North Dakota, Montana, my first couple of years in the industry, and working in the Williston Basin, and and it was really great. I cut my teeth up there. I was working under a law firm who helped show me titles and stuff. That all worked great. But one day, I was working in Wolf Point, Montana, in eastern Montana, and it was late January. There's just two guys in the courthouse and this long table, maybe 30 feet long, and he's at one end and I'm at the other end. I see this guy peering over a book. He's lifting up his glasses and squinting as he's looking and reading. I'm looking at this guy. He's probably 65 years old. Oh my gosh. I got chills going, that can't be me working in Wolf Point, Montana. I'm 65 years old. This can't work. So I got an opportunity to come back in-house. So I got back in-house, started learning more about deals, contracts, structures, and putting deals together and selling for the company I was working for. And so we made deals and learned a lot and did well until the price of oil collapsed in 82, 83, 84, and there, from oversupply, etc. And so, and I said, there's a downside to oil and gas. I mean, there's a cycle in this business. There really is. Oh no, and two houses, two cars, and living the high life, and going, oh, this is not too good. So by the mid 80s, I basically sold everything off, and I had to, with the price of oil dropped as low as it did in the mid 80s, I had to leave the Rockies because it's basically a non-commercial province for the
Yeah.
prices where they were. And I said, well, I got to get to Texas. I know all the oil closed down, dipped to Texas. So
Turns out Texas isn't so bad. Maybe
yeah,
let's try
so
that
I
out.
moved to Amarillo, and I got a day job working in Amarillo. After 9 years in the business, I was working up in a place called Stratford, and living in Amarillo, back and forth, and Dumas and all that. And I was making $100 a day, 5 days a week. I got to figure out what to do on the weekends. I'm saying this is not what I expected after 9
Yeah.
years in the
You know,
business.
going into 10 years in the business, you're
Yeah.
supposed to be, hitting your stride.
Yeah. So anyway, so I said, I'm either going to make it this business or I'm going to get out. So I was able to create a company called Amarillo Oil Company. It was half Amarillo, half Colorado, and had a wealthy family in Amarillo underwrite some properties and deals in that part of the world. And uh, but wealthy families don't necessarily have your best interest in mind. They want to kind of keep you close to hand. And so, yeah, the Texas Panhandle is a shallow province with not a whole lot of upside. So then horizontal drilling started happening in uh, Pearsall. And so in 1989, I had $1,000 to my name. I could put everything I owned in the back of an 8x8 U-Haul trailer. And, and this is 11 years after being in business, right? And so, but,
I'm a nomad.
I kept my confidence that, things are going to be good. I think it's going to be okay. And I just kept moving forward. And I got fortunate and getting,
So
go ahead.
when you were in Amarillo, were you, said you got some investment, were you putting deals together there as well? I mean, that's kind of was the premise of what you were trying to make happen there.
Yeah, correct. Doing some deals, some shallow gas deals and Hugenfield and some infill and things like that. But it's pretty shallow and pretty small. And so if I was going to spend my time in a land career, I want to go after bigger reserves. And so I make those royalties worth something, and
Yeah.
that's where I was really going to try and make my revenue long term.
And that's when the Pearsall popped, huh?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was working up there, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, Dash, so what? I just flipped some acreage down here in Pearsall, and I made $40,000 profit." And not disrespect, this guy wasn't the brightest knob in the world, and he can do it. I can do it. So I started commuting to Austin, Texas, in my old 80 T-Bird, and eventually got things rolling.
That's it. So you just relocated to Austin. Probably not a bad place. A little better than Amarillo.
Yeah, a little bit better. Amarillo's kind of nice and fun, but I quote unquote did my time there. And
Yeah.
it's an old tired area. You're 8 hours from any kind of city, but so it was nice coming to Austin, and came here in '89, and it's been my home ever since.
Yeah. Austin in the 90s was probably a pretty cool spot.
Yeah, it's been fun, and it's been amazing how to watch it grow over the years. Obviously,
I know.
anywhere you go in the U.S., it's growing, and it's never the same. But
I
we love it
know.
out here, and we're out here in Lakeway on Lake Travis. So we carved our little niche a long time ago. So we're happy.
Ah, nice. Nice. So Pearsall, here we come, huh? And so you just kind of continue that and we're able to just grow and grow. And obviously, before you know it, we got the shale thing going on, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. So I stayed in the Austin Chalk, and if you do something well, you don't have to keep jumping areas or jumping careers. Just do really well in the career that you have, and just have faith. The more you know 'em and the more you know about it, and the people you know in the career, you can do really well. And so I did that, and so I started doing some deals in the chalk from Karnes County all the way to Louisiana and back, and did this. I've been
Okay.
doing that for 30 years, and been
Now, so
very
you've carved
fortunate
out your,
getting in some good
so
areas and stuff. But while everyone else kind of came and did the chalk a little bit, and then they blew out to other areas, fine. I've just stayed here and picked up the miscellaneous pieces.
if you become an expert and really understand it, you know where the good stuff is, and you can really those when interest is not there, that's when you can really
Yeah,
really jump in and grab things at the right price and
exactly.
make it profitable.
Yep.
I heard a story, and I don't know
Why?
if I don't know if you were involved in it or an associate of yours was involved in it or a friend or an acquaintance. I heard a story about sometime you and maybe some partners or something like that were doing a leasing play and you didn't have a dime to your name hardly. You'd spent all your money buying these leases and somehow they got left on a hood of a car or a roof of a car and and they blew out on the
Here's the
highway.
story. Here's the story. So
I figured I'll let you tell the truth.
oh my gosh, at the beginning you have 40 cents in your pocket, right? And uh, so I had a buddy of mine. We were buying some leases down in Karnes County, and back in the beginning of the Austin Chalk play. And we were buying these leases on 45-day banking day drafts, right? And I knew the obligation. You can't buy leases and draft people without a sincere, you're going to pay those regardless. Right? I knew that. No problem. Because I knew that I was buying good properties and I could flip these leases and bring some partners in before these drafts come due. Not the wisest thing to do, but that's what I did regardless. So we bought a bunch of leases, and this was, we were looking to try and sell them. And I made a deal verbally with Union Pacific Resources to sell these leases, and they were not recorded and everything else. And I couldn't get a contract on them. I could not get a contract. I kept asking, no, where's the contract? No. So now I'm getting like 2 weeks away from what drafts are all coming due. And so Clady Williams had called me up and said, hey, we're interested in those leases. And I said, well, I made a deal with UPR. I need to honor it. So he said, well, if anything ever happens, let me know. So I called the guy back up. I said, here's my problem. I got these leases that are coming due. He says, you just remember your leases? Come on down here to San Antonio. We'll work out a deal, make this thing happen. That sounds great. So I jumped in the car with my Landman buddy Blake, and we started driving to San Antonio. And he asked me a question about a lease. And I said, oh, that's a good question. And I reached in my back seat, and bang, my briefcase isn't there. Where is it? I don't know. He pulled the car over. We check the trunk, and pull the trunk, and it's not there. I'm going. All of a sudden, I just got wide as a ghost. I'm going, I think I left it. I left my briefcase on top of the car back at the apartment. All the unrecorded leases.
Oh, no.
And all the drafts would come out and go, oh my God. And he was going, you back. All right. All the way back there and got back to the apartment complex. Didn't see any. I was just imagining leases flying down the highway somewhere. But I went back to his apartment, and just inside the door was my briefcase. And the apartment manager said, well, I saw this in the parking lot sitting next to your parking place, and someone didn't put it in their car. I knew it was yours, so I put it back in your apartment for you. I said, drove on to San Antonio, got the deal done, and saved my tail on it. So anyway.
So now you got a story to tell, huh?
Oh my God. Yeah. So, but I had a very similar deal. I said, Blake, I'll never do that again. Well, I got involved with another play in that area, and the little play we were raising money for, and the $150,000 play turned into a $750,000 lease acquisition between myself and geologist partner. We knew we could raise money. Knew we could raise the money. And so finally, on a Sunday afternoon, I had this point in time, it was calling up landowner and saying, hey, listen, I'll pay another $50 an acre to defer this draft for another week or two, whatever. I kept piling them back. No one to get someone to come and buy these properties. And now the next week was coming up and $250,000 in drafts are due. Go, well, this is not good, and I get a call from an attorney in that area and say, Mr. Dachner, the story is you're not going to be paying these drafts. I said, oh no, Mr. So-and-so, sure I will. He goes, well, I want you to know I'm going to prosecute you to the nearest, greatest extent of the law if you don't pay these leases.
And my cousin's judge.
Don't you worry. I'm I said, Matt, we're in trouble. He said, what do you mean we? Oh God, it's not good. Anyway, so
your name is on the lease.
The same afternoon, a friend of mine, a wealthy man in Midland, called me and said, David, I think I got someone to cover your tail on. Now, I'm going to wire you $250,000 tomorrow morning to get your drafts. Oh, it's just, never again. So I'm not recommending anybody do this. So don't come back and say, Dachner did it. He's smart. He made a deal, all that kind of stuff. No.
Dachner got lucky.
Do this. It's not recommended. It's not legal, and it's not wise. And so I've been clean ever since.
Well, a couple of scares will get you,
Oh my God.
I mean, you hear that.
Sorry?
You wouldn't be the first person to kind of reach out there and chase an opportunity and overextend themselves and get in a bind. And that's just kind of,
I knew I could get the properties done, everything else, but maybe not, so anyway, I never did that again when I did okay.
You sounds like you got in by the skin of your teeth. So
yeah.
But just sometimes you just got to be willing to trust your gut. You knew you were making the right decision, and they were marketable. Yeah. But it's hard to. Sometimes you got to bet on yourself. Yeah, and I think that's what every landman's done at some point in their career. Yeah, especially gentlemen like yourself who've. Well,
let me tell you. Yeah. Let me tell you a story that is an amazing story that I've done really pretty well in my career and financially and every aspect. But what I attribute my success to is not because I'm smart or made a good deal, but the generosity I extended to a landowner that changed my whole life. The story is I'm doing some leasing out in when a new project out in Tyler County, Texas, out in East Texas, chalk play
Yeah.
before
Good
all
deal.
that big play went on out there. And so I had some partners and we were buying leases with legitimate money. We bought about $1 million worth of acreage. We're paying $75 an acre. I knew we could, turn these leases for, 125. So, we had a top on where we're going to pay out there. And so we had a good plan. And so I started talking to this gentleman in the field, and nice and landowner. His name's Roy. And Roy, he and I sat down and had a lot of time spending time on his porch and visiting, talking about life and fishing and everything else. And when I go out and lease somebody, I know it's not as typical anymore, but I go out and go face to face. I like meeting people face to face. You don't do as much anymore. It's hard to get a hold of people because they haven't got landlines and all that, so it's more difficult. But I always made that
Yeah.
effort. So I
Much
tried to
more
lease
difficult.
Roy, and we talked and we visited and everything else, and we're getting close to making a deal. And he goes, David? He goes, yeah. Well, David, I got this landman coming here wanting to buy my lease. That is Union Pacific Resources. And I said, oh, yeah, he wants to offer me 125 an acre for my property. And I said, Roy, to be honest with you, UPR is a good company and they'll do you good. I can't better that offer. I can't even get close to it. I suggest you take that deal. And as a matter of fact, I'd be happy to help negotiate the terms of your lease, make sure you get a good, solid lease. You do that for me, David. You were sure you don't want it. I'd love to have your lease, but I can't do it. But I think you got a good company, and I think you should go with them. Wow, that's pretty wild. Sure. So I sat down, worked it out with him and all this, okay? So meanwhile, a well was drilled to the south of us that wasn't good at the time, and a well drilled north of us that wasn't good at the time. And so the chalk play blew off into Louisiana. And so we did too. So we had to eat $1 million worth of leasehold, and which we paid for. And
Yeah.
then that acreage was gone. But good old Roy, he liked me, and I liked Roy. And he'd stay in touch with me. David, my lease expired from Union Pacific. You want to buy my lease? I said, no, Roy, it doesn't look too good out
Well,
here right now, but we talk. Then he called me back and David, are out here shooting some seismic out here in this area. Oh, that's
just keeping you posted.
just keep me posted, And then he goes, David, they're out here drilling a well, or they bought a lease from me. Oh, that's good. Congratulations. Now they're out here, they're drilling a well, and they're drilling a well to the Woodbine. I said, oh, that's great. Woodbine's kind of sketchy out there, but, it's David, they're completing the well. They're completing the well in the chalk. Well, it's good. And he continues to keep me advised. And now they drill about 3, 4, 5 wells out there, and they're expensive Woodbine wells. And doggone, every time they drill to the chalk, they make a good well. And they were actually right in the fairway we thought where the good chalk is going to be. But the one at the south, the one in the north said, doesn't look good. So I said, this is interesting. So I wonder why they keep drilling these wells. And the wells were coming in for like 500 barrels a day. And then the chalk, 500 barrels a day, declines so rapidly, it's not that good a deal. So I said, well, but they keep drilling. What's going on? So I went down to the state records and looked at them and said, look at this well. It's producing 500 barrels a day every month for the last 4 months. That's not a chalk well. Chalk well don't do that.
Yeah, that's more than
That's a
that.
massive well. So I go out to the field and I hop the fence.
So you're in Austin at that time?
Yeah. And I hop the fence.
And you'd have to actually go to the Rail Commission files to pull that
to
stuff.
pull that information, right? I
Yeah.
went out to the field and I jumped the fence. I looked when I saw the wellhead. And the wellhead said 3,500 pounds of flowing tubing pressure. After about 5 months of production, I said, they've choked back their wells. They're in the middle of a massive oil field and they don't even know it because they're not leasing all the land around it. And I'm going, holy, I was almost weeping. I was shaking. Came back, my partners told about it, so we bought all this acreage. And now it's Southwest Brooklyn Field. It extends about 50 miles by 20 miles. And we went and bought all this acreage. But it's all because the kindness I extended to Roy. And that's a good thing to people to learn that, if you do good things for people, who knows what's come back to you, but you don't have to find a way to rob, steal, or pillage, or trade, or out try and do somebody. Treat them with respect and honor. You have no idea what's going to happen. But because I did that one thing, I came from pretty average dude to a more than average dude because of it.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. I just want to share that with guys out there saying you can be patient with folks and listen to them. And whatever you do what you can to spend quality time with them, being authentic and real with them and being helpful and listening and all that. So anyway, that's my story there.
No, I mean, I think that's just the age old thing. It's treat people with decency,
Yeah.
and all that comes back to you.
Yeah.
And I think that you're right. That gets lost a lot of times, with landmen who are negotiating deals, and there's always so much pressure.
Yeah.
Get the deal done fast, hurry, hurry, and
Yeah.
you're right. People don't want to sit down and talk to you as much. I mean, it's getting harder and harder in today's time to actually be able to go sit down with someone.
Well,
Everybody's skeptical.
it is, but it's also it's a lot of work and it's a lot of risk, emotional risk,
Effort.
because you got to sit down with them. You actually got to talk to people for the
Yeah.
first time. Then a lot of people they're really good in the records and they can kind of trade for a lease, but can they sit down and talk to people and relate to
Yeah,
them one on
and they-
one? That's
And they become a human,
I'm
and
human,
get to the
and
human side of it.
that is such a huge gifting that if you can take the key is discipline yourself to do it and try. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. It becomes natural, and so you can communicate with these people, and you can go a long ways. I've been successful not because I'm smart, but because I can relate and talk to people. And I'm an introvert, believe it or not. After all this, but I'm an introvert living in an extrovert's world, so I better play the game. And so the more I can communicate and treat the world with respect, honesty, and integrity, that's what's really carried my career. Which is
Yeah,
now
and ultimately it'll
42
bring you
years.
that'll bring you success.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only burn so many bridges,
Yep.
and you're right, you never know when that one thing, that one person. I can think back over my career that, for whatever reason, someone took a liking to me,
Yeah.
and they've helped me, and I've been able to help them, and it's kind of the most rewarding part of a longer career in our business is that in time, folks that helped you out, you're able to help them out,
Exactly.
or you're able to help someone out, and then you see that come full circle,
Oh.
or you're able to introduce and connect people, or and you get to see that. That's the most rewarding part of a long career in the land business, because you're exposed to so many people in such a unique way, that salesmen don't get that. Nobody gets that. Landmen get it because they have to spend time with people
Yeah.
and establish trust and rapport.
Well, the key
Um,
is, it's also a reflection of our culture in America. It's go, go, go. Now, now, now. Do it, do it, do it. Get it done, get it done. Get to the finish line next. Go, go, go. Do it. And it's nonstop. We're a fast-paced culture, so
Yeah.
but we're missing the point of enjoying and appreciating the journey on the way. It's an incredible journey. And so, yeah, you got to get the job done, but you got to I encourage people
Build
to slow down
flowers.
and enjoy what the journey is. Enjoy the
Yeah.
people and the sights and the scenes and everything else. Because next thing you turn around, you're going to be as old as me and you go, what the hell happened?
Yeah, I'm still working for a day rate over here.
That's right.
Yeah. And I think it's too, it's, and we have these conversations, especially with our younger buyers, folks that are more prone to lease negotiations. They're outgoing, they're people persons, but maybe they grew up in Austin or in Houston or
Yeah.
in Dallas or somewhere, and then you send them out to Woodville, Texas.
Right.
That's a different speed.
Right.
And you can't come blowing in the door, with that kind of mentality that maybe you just absorbed because of where you were raised. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
But you got to understand that those people operate at a different speed and a different pace, and they're going to respect conversation and, showing who you actually are. And really, part of being a good landman is education. You got to educate people.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't understand what's going on. You got to build rapport, build trust, and help teach them and explain to them what's going on.
Yeah.
And they got to trust that you're not, blowing something by them.
That's really a good
Yeah.
point, because I think in my early career, being up in North Dakota, Montana, and those spring days when everything's starting to defrost, and I drive my old Camaro out to these ranchers' places, and You're stomping through 6 inches of mud and manure to get to the farmhouse. You take your boots off and you sit down and talk to the rancher and the farmer, which is you had to do. You couldn't just call them up and make a deal. You had to go see these guys. And you sit down and talk to this guy, and the whole time he's kind of listening to you, and he keeps saying, he keeps doing this. See my daughter? She's good looking. She's looking for her. You're right. You're
Get her
like,
out
"Nice,
of here."
man. She's just sitting there like, you know, there were fun things you do as a landman. But, I think the point is going out there, meeting and talking to these farmers and ranchers, prepared myself on a real way to communicate to all walks of life, and it really helped me, my career in leasing and negotiating and being able to talk to all kinds of people.
Yeah. Well, you talked about good deeds and how it changed the trajectory of your career.
Yeah.
That sounds like it allowed you to really start to shift some of your focus to some of your passions
Right.
and helping others.
Yeah.
So, man, I'd love to hear about kind of what that allowed you to do. What came next there?
Sure. So, I've been really fortunate over the years. Like I said, back in 1989, I had $1,000 to my name, but I was fortunate, folks like Roy and others that really allowed my career to grow and became not filthy rich, but I made some good money. And I always believed in the quality of life, not the quantity of life. And I feel, number one is I think we are, first of all, a giving industry. I think we get a lot of flack that we rape the land and pillage the poor people and everything else. And we do have some, misdirected folks in our industry from time to time. But overall, I think we got a real professional group that really, they have the same concerns that every American has about the environment and what happens out here. And
Well-being of people.
yeah, and I think there's some really giving people. And so part of my motivation, I would say, is saying, hey, here's an example of an oil man who did well. I'm going to give back to the world. So my point is that, I can't take all this stuff with me. And I've been so blessed with this stuff that I wanted to go out to make a difference in the world. So it's really started back when I came to faith, really, my Christian faith back when I was 41 years old, almost 30 years or so ago. And before that, the world was all about me and what I could take from it. And after that experience that I had, that I said, it's time to change, and I want to make a difference in the world the rest of my life, make a true impact in it. And how can I help? How can I make a difference? And I was hungry for that. And the journey since then has been extraordinary. It's way overcomes my success and financially and everything else. And so I'm involved with two different boards that are two different foundations that I've created or get involved with for years. One's called Discovery Programs here in Austin, and the other is the Abundant Life Foundation. And the Discovery Programs is here in the United States, and Abundant Life Foundation is in Honduras in all this. So just briefly about Discovery Programs is the program I went through and where I was kind of stuck and didn't know where I was going with my life at the age of 41. And this program was designed by Dr. Phil McGraw. And the premise of the program is that everybody has answers to their issues inside. It's a matter of unlocking those answers. Everyone's unique to themselves and unique answers. And so you come to the program and you come in with all these masks on and all these ways to manage all your dysfunction that you've had to experience your whole life. And we slowly peel you like an onion and get rid of all the stuff so you can get real and authentic, so you can get to literally the heart of the matter. And once you get there, then you can find out who you really are and how you can have the life that you really want to have. What do you have to do different? What do you have to do to get there? Who do you have to forgive? Who do you have to look at? Who do you have, et cetera, et cetera. And we help people, we've been through that program, help people get real and find those solutions for themselves. And they can jettison their lives into a way they never thought possible. Life is too short to have to sit there and just manage, dysfunction or your past,
Yeah.
Life is too short. You got this one shot at the game of life. Let's live it fully, openly, whatever your natural gifting, let's get it out there. So with Discovery Programs, I'm involved as a facilitator there for 20 years, volunteered. And
So was it a program that was already in place? Was it in the
yes,
business world, or was this open to just anybody? Was it a church organization?
It was
How did you come
separate.
to be introduced to it?
It was a separate for-profit organization called Pathways, which still runs up in Dallas. And then some directors out of there came out and created a discovery program to make it shorter, more cost-effective, and still provide the tenets of the program and success itself. And so it was a separate standalone program. It was not affiliated with any church or any other entity. And then back in 2008, gosh, 17 years or so ago, the Posey family and the Dachner family combined to bring this program to Austin. And it's still going on today after all these years. And as a nonprofit, and number of volunteers run the program. The one in Dallas, where it birthed out of, closed after COVID. They couldn't get it going, keep it going. But it's going here in Austin and doing really, really well. And we're growing that program, and it's open to anybody. And it's for any, it doesn't, there's no agenda in the program. It's not for a particular person or whatever. They say that a dysfunctional, definition of a dysfunctional family is a family greater than one. We all have been raised in some sort of dysfunction,
Yeah.
and it really changes us. So we're not fully engaged and participating in the world the way we really want to. And so how can we get rid of all that clutter so we can really be focused on what we really want, what we really want to do, experience in life? And so that program goes on. It's doing great. It's called discoveryprograms.org. And the other, the Bundle Life Foundation is, we traveled to Honduras, on an island off of Honduras called Roatan, which is a major cruise ship destination. If you come out of Galveston, and Carnival goes there, and Royal Caribbean goes there, and it does really well in their tourism. So we were invited down there, and came down with a friend, and I was married and had a 1.5-year-old daughter. And so we found a house down there, or condo we bought, and we said, let's make this our second home and have our daughter experience life outside our borders and see, experience the real world, because Austin, Texas, not the real world, right? And so while we were there, we said, this is a place we want to give back and make a difference. And people ask me, well, why Honduras of all places? And I said, how many people do you know working in Honduras, helping Honduras? He said, nobody. I said, that's why I'm there. That's why I'm helping. Because my job, my experience is, I'm an explorationist. I go where people don't want to go. I don't go follow the crowd and just go, chase the deals that are close to, I try and project and do the new things, willing to take the risk. I'm fearless in that regard. I'm doing the same thing in Honduras. And so, our foundation down there, we now have 21 full-time staff and 3 full-time in the U.S. We have, our main objective is community development and education. They're incredibly important to educate these people, because a lot of the people finish school at 6th grade, which is the maximum grade you have in Honduras. And English is the native speaking language on the island of Roatan. And most of the kids, the vast majority of kids, can speak English, but they can't read or write their native language. And how are you going to go ahead and be successful in tourism and in the world in general if you can't read and write? Yeah. This is basic fundamental to humanity, if you will. So we're helping in those areas. And but that's just grown over the years. And we're very fortunate. We have some corporate sponsors down there, and we're getting more and more interest in all that. The foundation's been going on. Now I can step back. We got a great, executive director and stuff. But I'm telling you, the point is, my greatest joy and greatest satisfaction is the impact I'm doing through discovery and people, the impact I'm making in the foundation for another country when they could really use that help. That's my greatest success. I had a guy come up to me at the end of the discovery program this last weekend, and he looked at me and he goes, I just wanted to say thank you, Dash. I haven't met you before, but I want you to know that you saved my life. I said, what? Oh, wow, great, thank you. No. He took his hands on his shoulder, put me on his shoulder, and he looked me down and said, no, you literally saved my life. I had a gun to my head, but now I'm a great father and a great dad. Thank you for having this program here. That's pretty cool. And I'm not to say about me, I'm saying that he did himself. We just provide him the tools
Yeah,
to
to
look
help
for the way to
themselves.
begin and realize you can be fully functional. Your past doesn't own you. So anyway, but having those are my greatest joys and greatest satisfaction is seeing change in people, positive impact, and my big thing in Honduras is saying, folks, let's consider about helping these people down here. We're really good at trying to cure and fix things once they get to the border, but what if we cure and fix these before they even get to the border and provide
Yeah.
housing and
Right.
jobs and they just need someplace sustainable. And so, but anyway, the point is, I've invested a substantial amount of my wealth down there, and our family commitment is we're not bringing that money back. It stays there. Why? I can't think of a better, more altruistic thing to do than to invest in that country. And maybe I can lead the path. Maybe I can be the explorationist that creates a field down there in a way that people say, hey, maybe I can come down and help these people at the beginning, not at the end where you're at the border and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's just me. That's just what's going on.
Well, I think with helping people, you never know the exponential return you get out of that, but you know it's going to be something.
Well,
You know,
yeah,
you help one person, that person can help two people. Those two people can help two people,
yeah,
and hope and that goes for anywhere, whether you're in America
yeah,
or Rotan or wherever it might be.
exactly.
You just never know how that one thing, that seed you plant, what it becomes.
Right.
And I think good goodwill and good intention. And I think the biggest takeaway, David, that I'm getting from you is that it's never too late to help, and there's no reason why you can't help earlier,
Yes,
right? It's you don't have to have a fortune to be able to help someone,
exactly. And I,
or
and I
something, or be involved.
yeah,
It's time capital,
right.
or you stepping back long enough to realize that, hey, work isn't everything, or this next deal isn't everything. How can I use what my time is and maybe what my skills are to help others?
Well,
Um,
I think uh, the we miss the boat on a lot of things in America because we're so busy and everything else. We rate it's a race to the end, and then what? And there's a lot of regret at the end, saying, "Well, I missed out here, I missed out there, and all that." We've got this one shot at the game of life. How do you want to live it? We do a tool in the program. We say, write your eulogy now. What would you want people to say about you when you're gone? That should be a target for you, saying, well, I want to say that I had a house, I had a vacation, I had, this and that, I made, $100 million. So great, great, great. Or would you want to say that I had impact here? I changed that family. I did this, not living with regret. And, when I'm dead and gone, when I'm going, I'm going to say, listen, I'm tired. I'm ready to go. Take me, Lord. I've put all my gifts and talents into the world. And the point is, although I'm doing all these really big things, that's just my calling. It fits with me. It's extremely challenging. I mean, there's no easy road on trying to do something in Honduras. I'll guarantee you that, whether it's business or personal or foundation. But the point is, there's a lot of little things that you can do to make a difference in this world and create positive impact. Whether it's your family, really staying connected with your kids, really not just give them a buck and give them a phone and say goodbye. No, I'm talking about connecting with them, connecting your neighbor, your community, your church. There's a lot of different ways you can, but the point is, what do you want people to say about you when you're gone? Because otherwise you're going to get on this fast track life, and then what? What are you working so hard for? To avoid life, are you running from your past just as fast as you can so you can just make the money plug the holes? And it doesn't plug many holes. You'll find that out if you haven't already. So it's an incredible opportunity to deeply consider where you're at and where you're going and what's important, and begin to live that direction. And you'll have a much more fulfilling, joyful, exciting, passionate, amazing life. And I think if we had the choice and opportunity, ultimately, I think is what we'd really like to have, is something like that.
I think that's what we're all probably designed to be, and how we were designed to live, and what we're designed to contribute
Yeah,
to society and to our world and to our kind.
yeah,
David, you mentioned that you had a pretty noticeable, distinct moment where you had this kind of epiphany that,
sure,
hey, I need to do things differently.
yeah.
Was that a part of, did that come, did you feel that coming and then you sought out, and discovery found you, or you found discovery, or did you have this outside of your involvement in discovery and programs that you ultimately got involved with, and moved to Austin and grew?
I'd be happy to share with you a little more details of that quote unquote moment in time where my life radically changed. And so for me, um, I went to this program at the age of 41 because I was single. I didn't know how to love. I didn't know how to connect. All the things that gave me joy and peace were gone. I had a dead heart. There was nothing left in me, and I was agnostic, to believe it or not. And I went through this program, and one night they said, "I want you to write 10 pages on what's in your life going to like if you don't get what you want," or something along those lines. And they let us out at 11 o'clock, and we said, we encourage you to write this before you go to bed. Okay. So I did. 2 o'clock in the morning, I finished, put my journal down, and I was in a room with another gentleman as we were bunking together in a hotel in Dallas. And I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I had a spiritual epiphany where I encountered what I believed to be the Christ in my room. And it changed my heart. And I gave my life to him that day. And within 48 hours, my heart light came on, and the joy and the peace and the love and the excitement. And I was like, my friend said, "You were weird." you know, you know, you were like, "You scared us," And I said, "Well, I was just,
What the hell is going on here?
I was reborn," is really what happened. And it was a remarkable event for me. And it changed my life radically, and set me on a course of saying, what's really important? Making money, making David look big and strong and powerful and all that, and realizing there's always going to be someone stronger, faster, smarter, better looking, and everything else. So why am I chasing that? I'm chasing the dog, chasing his tail. So instead, I'm saying I'm gonna still work and do my things and be responsible, but I want to be able to make a difference in people's lives, and that impact will make my life worth living. And I'm not doing it to pat myself on the back or get a statue or get a road named after me. I could care less, because in 50 years I'll be gone. No one will know who David Dachner is,
Yeah.
but they won't forget how I made them feel. And someone's going to say, "There was a guy many years ago that changed my life, and it changed my life for me, but it changed my life for my family and my future generations." But we all have that
Yeah.
power and ability. We all have that
Yeah.
within us, that we can make remarkable, remarkable leaders and remarkable examples to our family and to our friends and our businesses, to say, this is an appropriate way to live and be. Um, uh, and you'll have a lot of people saying, you'll probably have a long line outside that church when you pass away, wherever that is, because they want to really
Yeah.
appreciate, the effort that you made. And the effort shouldn't be an effort; it just should be a way of life. And
Yeah. And I think for some people, it's having the courage to take that step to say, you know what, I can do both.
right,
I can be giving, or I can give more of my time to something
mhm,
and still be successful
right,
in my career, or
yeah,
as a father, or all the things that you feel like as a dad or a mom or whoever, that you're responsible
yeah,
to your children or to your
right,
employees or whatever the case might be.
right,
I think it's important for people to understand, David, you had that noticeable change in your life. You got involved in organizations and founded things, and have, you know, really oriented yourself to helping others for a better part of your life now.
yeah.
But I think, talk about, I mean, you've done those things and obviously you're very passionate about it, but were you still in the business? Were you still, you know, uh, working in the industry during that time? Did you have measurable, noticeable success during that period as well? Kind of after?
Yeah, I think, well, that was 1996 when that happened. And so I kicked from in 1989 was when I had nothing, and then I started doing some deals and started, putting this acreage together. So really, the late 90s and early 2000s is where everything kind of exploded financially in a positive way. And but we had, a couple downturns in that whole time and everything else. But I think the persistence. I think one of the things I really held on to through my whole life was my integrity, and I did what I said I was going to do, and people could trust me. And from that, when it got dark in a bad place, I could say, "Hey, so and so, I'm gonna need some help. They're there. They can help you." Everything else. And um, so I think that's been a bonding experience for a lot of people I know that helped me in my career is by giving back and being real with them and playing the game. And I think it's been very beneficial for my success in the oil and gas exploration career.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing. I mean, I think the biggest takeaway for anybody who's listening, that maybe feels that passion or that tug to do something more, help someone, or be involved in something else is know that you can do both.
Yeah.
You can do those things. You can pay it forward. You can implement those things into your professional life, to your career, and still help others and still, do the things you love as a landman or someone
Yeah.
in the industry or in business or anything in general.
Yeah.
I think you're a great example of that, David, that, your passions um, can coincide with your career ambitions or your responsibilities as a dad or, a business owner or just an individual working,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You can do both.
Yeah.
And you're a great example of that, man. I really appreciate you sharing your story. It's inspiring, and hopefully it pays it forward to someone else and maybe inspires someone to get involved in whatever way they're passionate about or whatever, their faith calls them to.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. And uh, don't quit, don't give up. And, life has all kinds of trials and obstacles in it. It's just the way it's going to be. But don't allow yourself to go sit on the bench. You got to go play the game.
in the
You're
game.
successful, even you have to lose things in order to gain them. You really have to. And so be persistent. And if you need some eternal peace or something like this, get better focus on your life, go check out discoveryprograms.org. And you can see the website, and it's a remarkable program that'll help you get you square on that. And our foundation, the Abundant Life Foundation, we're doing great work in Honduras. Come see us down there. And what I've also got involved, and I didn't tell you about yet, is that I got a beach resort down there called the Kempton Grand Rotan uh, Resort and Spa. And so I got involved with this
Okay.
back in 2012. And so I got involved with 2012. Not that I wanted to build something down there, but I backed a guy's loan, and he failed. And the bank looked at me and said, "Well, Mr. Dachner, what are you going to do with this loan?" I said, "Well, I guess I'm in the hospitality business in Honduras." So
Yeah.
paid off the bank, paid off the partners, bought it out, and brought it out of the ground. And so, um, but the but there's a purpose also for that, and I think that's another side point to make with your audience here, and that is everything you do should have a purpose. Not I'm a person not to make money. No, purpose is not about making money. That's what happens on the way to your purpose, right? And so on this resort, yeah, we can make some money there, but the point is we're trying to encourage tourism to this country in a professional way. And so it's a Kimpton branded, internationally branded resort, and it's doing well. I'm getting ready to build another building, raising another $30 million. Yeehaw. I'm just so excited about building more, but I have to build some more, and I'm going to. And um, anyway, but I got
Cool.
265 employees I'm responsible with down there, and there's probably 3,000 total people that I'm responsible for down there through our resort. And so where I'm trying to demonstrate to people down there that you can make money without corruption, and they're doing it. We do not allow corruption in our organization, and so they're getting it. Not only that, but it's fun to even demonstrate that to the Kimpton executives and the Intercontinental Hotel Group that owns the Kimpton brand, they see the connection between our foundation and the resort. And so how they work together as a real, true corporate social responsibility. And our teams go do work and support there, and they're helping all the people who work at our resort and live on the island are now helping the community, with homes and with education. And we built the island's first public park. Can you imagine an island of 100,000 and there was not a public park on the island? We had a playground, but no public parks. We have the first public park. We have a computer.
Well, David, what you're describing is a culture that's been created, and how that culture can live and grow.
Right.
And people throw around culture all the time, but all it is a series of actions and behaviors.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
That define how you're going to be and how you're going to operate.
Yeah.
And you've shown, to your point, that you can operate with that kind of culture.
Yes.
Anywhere if you establish it.
Yeah.
You get buy-in. It sounds like, again, it's paying it forward. You help someone, that culture then expands and grows just by people wanting to be oriented with that.
Yeah.
So you've done something where you probably didn't go about it thinking that was going to happen, but it's shown itself that it can scale and it can grow and it can apply to things that typically it maybe wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. Well, again, the fundamental point I'm trying to make here is that find the purpose in what you're doing. Find the why. Why are you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
How to do it, what you're doing. Why are you doing it? I don't care if you're a landman. I don't care if you're, a restaurant person. Why are you doing this? And there's a reason behind your why, and that's helps create that impact that you want to do in the world, and it happens right through that why and what you all that. So it's good.
Well, David, man, I think that's a pretty damn good quote to wrap it up with, man. I have certainly enjoyed it, and hell, I guess I got to go to Rotan now and check out this place.
No, that's not strict. No, you can't wait to go. I can't wait to go.
Yeah.
The Kimpton Grand Rotan Resort and Spa. So come down and join us. We'll take good care of you. We've got a great team down there. And it's an English-speaking island.
Check it out.
So you can enjoy it, and it's very safe.
You bet.
Wonderful.
Well, man, we're going to put Discovery and the foundation. What was it? The foundation again?
Abundant Life Foundation.
Abundant Life Foundation. We'll put all the sites there in the show notes and all that. And man, go check it out. And
Hey.
David, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Great to hear your Landman story.
Yeah.
And everything that you've done with that.
Hey,
wish
God
you
bless
best,
you guys. Thank you for what you're doing. And you guys got great teams there, Dudley and all that. And I highly respect you guys very much. And thank you much for having me on your program. And if anybody needs to get a hold of me, they can find out through you or otherwise. But take care. Thank you again. So let me be on part of your program.
Enjoyed today's topic? Follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Learn more at dudley-land.com. See you next episode.